Hello and welcome back. Welcome if you're new. My name is Elena. I'm a homeschooling mama to 3 kiddos. I have some questions down here for a almost dropped that. Mid-year tag. Nobody in the world tags me except myself. And so I thought I would share with you some of the questions. I will leave the questions down below in case you want to answer some or all of them. I would love to have more of a community and interaction here, if you will. So yeah, let's dive into it. It has no respect for my filming schedule, like none. Okay, so first question is, how is your reading going? I would say my reading is going pretty okay. I put a fairly low reading goal for this year because I wanted to really enjoy what I was reading, and I didn't want to feel like I was just going through books towards the end of the year just to hit a certain number. I also did not put a hourly goal like for audiobooks or a page goal. I strictly just did a number of books on Storygraph. That's where I tracking my reading. So I set my goal at 85 and so far I'm at 68 books. I think I will exceed the 85. Last year I read over 100. I can't remember the number, but I'll put that up for you. But again, I didn't want to set my goal too high and just to be eating up the books and not really enjoying them, if that makes sense. The next thing in my book, the goals and things, I have joined 8 challenges. One of the challenges that are on there though has no time limit. It was created by someone on Storygraph, the Haley fam. Christian books you must read, or Christian books that changed her life, something like that. So that one has no time limit. I've read some of them, but it's not a huge push. I just have that on there to remind me of the recommendations. And then 2 of the challenges I have finished. So I did finish the middle grade March, and then I finished the Southern Charm Readathon. Those are ones that I usually, the past couple of years, I've been participating in, and it's been fun. And those do have time limits, like time frames, maybe is the word I want to look for. Anyways, I finished those 2, and then I have some that are like year-long challenges, so I've got a little bit more time with those. And to be quite honest, the last 2 months I've not really been looking at them and seeing if the books I'm reading match up with the challenges, so I should probably get on that. The next question is the best book you've read so far in 2024. So I know I'm a little past the halfway mark when I'm recording this because we're already in July. Should have been maybe done in June to really be at that halfway mark. But my answer would have been the same. Fourth Wing was definitely the best book that I've read so far this year. It took me by surprise. I was late to the party as usual, so I didn't read it as soon as it came out, but I did read it, and I really enjoyed it. And then I read the sequel, and that was a different story. I enjoyed it as well, but I definitely enjoyed the first book the most better because there's only like 2 to compare it to, right? So Fourth Wing has been my favorite book so far. The best sequel you've read so far, I would say Mistletoe and Mr. Right. This one is, I read a lot of series books. I like books that continue on once I find a world and that I'm in. I want to just stay in there for a while, so that's why I think I really love series books. But Mistletoe and Mr. Right is from the Moose Springs, Alaska series, and I just said that was my favorite sequel because I think it's like 3 books long, and I just had a really good time with that little mini series. That book or that series is by Sarah, I'm gonna mess up her last name, so my apologies, Morgan Thaler, and it is about an actress who is she's turning away from acting and going into documentary filming and that sort of thing, and she goes to the remote town of Moose Springs, and she falls for the local grump. And it's a slow, they both kind of butt heads at first, so a little bit of sunshine, grumpy romance, but just a fun, nice, clean read. So I liked that book. My favorite reread so far has been the Harry Potter series. I like the movies, I like the books, and I hadn't reread the books in quite a long time because we've been watching the movies. My husband will watch the movies with me, but he hasn't read the books. He has started the first one, though, just like a couple of days ago. So I'm excited to see if he'll stick with it and read them. He's not the biggest reader, but like I say, it's just because he hasn't found the right book yet that has turned him into a reader. So maybe this series will be it. But he has watched the movies with me, so we've watched them frequently, and I was just pleasantly surprised to like dive back in and be able to reread them and just get into that world again, and then realize like how different some of the things that had to get left out of the movies for time management and things like that. So getting to get a little bit more of the story by rereading the books. The next question is the genre that you've been reading the most or that you enjoy the most. It's definitely romance. I liken them to Hallmark movies in a book. I like really simple escape books that have a happy ending. I read books a lot of times to escape and to just take a break from life being so lifey and the heaviness of the world. And so I like reading books that are a little bit more lighthearted. And so those books really will probably always be my favorite genre. A new release you haven't gotten to read yet but want to, that would probably be the last book in the Elm Creek quilt series. I've talked about this series on my channel before. I don't see a lot of people that talk about it, so it's probably like this obscure. I feel like I've had one or two people comment that they have read it, so that's exciting. I ran across the series quite by, I don't know if accident is the word, but years ago I was in the library and just kind of shopping the shelves looking, and one of the books, I don't even remember which is the first one I read, but I pulled one out. It definitely wasn't the first in the series, I don't think. Maybe it was. But I read it. It was at a time where I was kind of searching and trying to find where I was going to be as a reader. I was having a hard time finding books. And this series just kept me captivated. I wanted to know the story. I got to read them. I went, and then that started a whole thing where I was just searching for all the books. So this is a super long series, but it jumps around on the timeline. And so you get a lot of different points of view, and you get a lot of different stories in the series. So the series, the 22nd book of the series, has come out earlier this year, and that is The Museum of Lost Quilts. I don't think I said the title yet, but that's the 22nd book of the series, and it is by Jennifer Schiavarini. Again, I apologize if I'm not getting these names right. So that is my most, that's the one I'm looking forward to. I haven't purchased it yet, but hopefully we'll get it soon. And then the next question is the most anticipated release for the second half of the year. I don't know, because I check out a lot of books from the library. I am like late to the party, so to say. So I don't get like brand new releases right away because I'm not purchasing a lot of our books. We're doing a lot of library checkouts, and we are doing a lot of thrift shopping, secondhand shopping for books. So I don't really have a most anticipated release for the second half of the year. If you have recommendations though, leave them down below and let me know. Biggest disappointment of the year, I probably may get some flack for this, but A Court of Silver Flames. This is Akatar's fourth book, and this one followed Nesta, and I just found myself reading it because I wanted to complete the series. I did like the Akatar series, but I did feel like as the stories go on, as the books go on, they got smuttier and smuttier, and it got harder and harder to skip over it. If that's your thing, that's cool. It was too much, and it was just felt really unnecessary that there was so much in there. It felt like that was just the main part of the book, was just how much could she fit into this. And so it started out really strong, and then by the time I got to the fourth book, it was too much. And also Nesta was just not my favorite character. I know she has this whole, like, we're supposed to see a different side of her and understand her a little bit more, and we do in the last book, but it wasn't enough for me to do a full switcheroo and just love her. So no, it was it was just a for me. The biggest surprise book of the year, maybe it would have been Fourth Wing, because like I said, I didn't expect to like fall so hard for that book, but I'm going to say it is Julia Monroe Begins Again. This is by Rebecca Millett, and this is the first book I think that I rated for the year. So last year towards the end of the year, I felt like I was just rating books because I needed to give it a rating, and so going into 2024, I was like, I'm not going to rate books this year. I'm just going to read them, I'm just going to share them, I'm just going to tell you if I liked them, and we're going to move on. I'm not going to fight to get this rating. Oftentimes I felt really bad if I had to give it a lower score. Not that these authors are even watching or know who I am. I don't know. I felt bad. But this book I rated, I rated it a 4-star, which was really good. It wasn't 5, but it was a 4-star. And the fact that I even felt compelled to rate it, I just wanted to remember that I really enjoyed this book. So it was just a sweet romance, but a really well written one. And so that was my biggest surprise, I would say, of the year. Favorite new author, either a debut author, a new to you author, I'm going to go with Kathleen Fuller. I'm not sure if I've read, I didn't dig back far enough in my reading to see if I have read any of her books prior to this year, but I know that I've definitely read more of her this year. She typically writes, she has a lot of Amish fiction books in her library, in her authorship, in her list. I don't know. She's written a lot Amish nonfiction books, but she also has a couple of contemporary books. I read a couple of those these past couple of weeks, and I've just really, or these past couple of months, and I really enjoy her. The next question is my newest favorite character, and that would have to be Violet from Iron Flame. I know, this is the third time I think I'm bringing up this book. But I loved Violet because she had this kind of quiet strong about her. It wasn't just a physical strongness that she had to develop, but really a mental toughness that she has. And I liked that she was real and that she was struggling, but she acknowledged that she was struggling, but she wasn't quitting. And so I think that she would have to be like one of my favorite new characters this year. Books that made you cry. I'm sure I cried reading some books. If you know me in real life, you know I have a lot of emotions. It's not something I really like about myself, but I do. And so I'm sure there's some, but I was looking through the list, and I couldn't think of one that I was like, oh yeah, I remember crying in this one. So I'm gonna have to say, I don't know, but I'm sure I did somewhere along the way. The next question is books that made you happy. So many of my books, because like I said, I really enjoy like feel-good type books, but a couple that made me happy that I remembered smiling through is All That Really Matters. This is the first book in the Mackenzie family romance by Nicole Deese. I think this was a recommendation to me from Oceana on one of her videos, and it was just a good book. It does deal with some really real things, but it ties up nicely, and then there is a second book to this one, so a sequel. Another one is Julia Monroe Begins Again. Like I said, it was a pleasant surprise. It was the feel-good romance I didn't know that I needed to read, but I'm so happy that I did. I read that one in April. The next prompt is the most beautiful book you've read or bought this year or received. I don't, like I said, buy a lot of books, so I don't have one for this. I bought a used book that goes with the Elm Creek series, but it's okay, but I wouldn't say it's like the most beautiful book. So I feel like this prompt kind of gives me permission to go search out a special edition or something. I don't know, but I'll have to find one. What books do you need to read by the end of the year? I would like to finish out my reading challenges, so books that go with the reading challenges that I mentioned. I don't know if I'm going to add any more reading challenges for this year. Probably like towards the winter time I will, when the Halloween and holiday ones come out, so maybe then we'll join up and do a couple of challenges there. But so far I just want to finish up the challenges that I've already signed up on, these year-long challenges. And then favorite video or post you've done so far this year. I think when I updated my reading journal and kind of recapped with you what I've been reading, that one would be one of my favorites for sure. I do need to get back in and update my reading journal again. I think I said on that last video too that I was going to try to not wait so many months in between updating my reading journal, but I have. So I need to get back in there and do that. Then the last prompt is favorite book community members. So it kind of is a little all over the place. Maybe not. You let me know. For sure, like I have mentioned, Oceana from Oceana Gotta Read 'Em All. Amanda from Book Lover Amanda, she hosted the Southern Charm Readathon. Oceana also has a reading challenge, a year-long challenge, and that is in one of my challenges. Speaking of challenges, the host of Middle Grade March is Krista from at Books and Jams, and so I like to follow her as well. And then kind of one that maybe doesn't fit quite in is Destiny Sidwell. She is a younger booktuber, but I've just started following her and then like kind of fell into her books and not into her books, but what she's been reading. And she's just had like this major life move, and so I don't know, I've been watching a lot of hers as well. I think I found her because I was watching a few Haley Pham videos as well, but Destiny has a YouTube channel, but she also has a podcast too, so there's that. And I think that's it. I'm probably missing like a majillion people, but if you have any recommendations, again, let me know down below. And that's it. That is the prompts and the questions. I just thought it would be fun to come on and do a little tag and see if anybody else wanted to join along and do this. Like I said, if you don't have a channel and you don't want to make a whole video about it, I left the questions down below. You can copy and paste and answer, and then we can just keep chatting about books, which is so much fun. Thanks so much for hanging out with me and spending your time here with me. And in case you don't know or just need to be reminded, maybe the one to tell you that you are deeply and truly loved and so, so appreciated. Again, I really appreciate you taking your time out and spending it here with me. Thanks for watching.